All right, we are recording. Welcome to another special interest group Upjet meeting. Today is January 29th, 2025. It has been some time since we recorded our meetings because it has always been off-topic discussions. So today we have some on-topic discussions, hopefully. Ricard, we can begin with your topic. If you would like to present it, feel free to share your screen. Otherwise, we are listening you.
Yeah, I don't have much to share really, but as you know, I'm looking into how to upgrade the GCP provider to another major version of the Terraform GCP provider. And I guess there are some questions how to handle those upgrades that isn't really, I don't think it has been done before with the Upjet providers that I could find, except for the AWS one that did it once when it became 1.0. I think we should discuss or like try to sort out how to handle and document breaking changes, API versions, how to retest, since usually you might get a lot of changes for free, but then you need to validate them. I guess this was just me trying to push you a bit to talk about this and maybe take some decision, maybe not today, but in the coming weeks or month or whatever it takes. But
Yep. Yeah, thanks for pushing me, first of all, because I really need it from time to time. Those who are in the Slack Upjet channel know that I like being pushed because I would like to keep my promises, but things happen and I fall back. I want some support from the community so that I can follow on my intentions. Thanks for doing so. So let me share my screen. Reza, welcome, by the way. Let me share my screen and show the current state of the PR. So this is our meeting notes, and we are currently discussing this. Yes. So, Ricard, as you said, it is difficult for me to authoritatively decide some things, how we are going to go forward. Because not all maintainers are here, perhaps we can move forward the discussion a little bit so that we can proceed on both sides. But as you said, this is not something we we did many times so far. Like you said, we were lucky when we introduced the no-fork architecture and we were already going to break API in our next Upjet version. We already had a new provider AWS Terraform major version. So we took our chances to upgrade there and sidestepped any breaking changes issues. So whether we should upgrade major version of the our Crossplane provider, I'm not sure. So far, we had breaking changes in APIs, even in minor versions, mind you, and we just documented them and continued releasing a minor version of the Crossplane provider. Well, let me also say that some of the breaking changes in the Terraform provider are not breaking changes for us in the Crossplane provider. That is because we built some machinery, for instance, to help to handle field renamings. Even though field renamings are a breaking change on the Terraform side, we are handling them automatically, supporting both renamed version and the previous version. So they don't introduce any breaking changes. But for instance, type changes are breaking changes, so we have to document them at least. And for those, I believe we have some checks here. Check diff isn't that one. Yeah, this report breaking changes. So turns out this didn't find any breaking changes, did it? Let me see its output. Or maybe it's always succeeding, I'm not sure, and we are checking by hand. All right, yes, the job always succeeds because otherwise it wouldn't make sense. So it found some breaking changes. So there are these changes, for instance, where is it? Currently we are looking at this one, AlloyDB, and under for provider, yeah, network is gone. So as the selectors, etc., init provider, this is the same, and the network is gone. So yeah, this was one of the changes we have already handled, I believe. So we have a list here. We can go over them one by one. And now that we are looking at the PR, I would like to take a moment and appreciate your meticulous work here. Thanks for being so thorough with your changes. I really appreciate it. And this is not just something I appreciate, but it's heartwarming. You know, getting this kind of detailed commits, PRs work from the community is something different. Thank you.
I'm glad to help.
So yes, that's about breaking changes. Do you have any comments regarding that? I mean, we probably won't go with major, but we will document the breaking changes and release a minor.
Yeah, sounds fine. I don't think I have any comments. There's one resource that is completely deleted, so that might not be in there, but it's in my documentation here. Changed resources.
Definitely. Yeah, and I mean, as I said, this is just probably what's going to happen. I don't think we have ever handled a case where a resource is removed. So maybe that's a good reason to release a major version. I don't know. Again, other maintainers will probably chime in. No, not this one. I was going to switch back to this one. Okay, we've discussed this. Documentation of breaking chains. Yeah, this is something we should definitely do. And like I said, we already have this workflow and of course your amazing documentation here. Yeah, documentation of upgrade procedures. Yeah, this is going to be very important, especially for this major version bump of Terraform provider, because usually upgrades are quite straightforward. Like I said, we handle most of the breaking changes, and if there are any, we let the community know in the release notes. But because breaking changes might be quite, there might be quite some breaking changes, we might want to put a longer document in order to let people know how to test if upgrade is going to be successful or not. This would definitely be helpful. And regarding up tests, right? So I'm going to connect to this question. When we were upgrading to Upjet v1 and therefore was bumping major versions of all Crossplane providers, we went under a really big validation procedure. We tested, I don't know, maybe 70 or 80% of the resources available in the hyperscalers. I don't think this bump requires that much coverage. If we could cover the most important categories of changes, for instance, breaking changes, field renamings, etc. If we could sample from the category and try to cover focus on what has changed, and of course include some things that are not in this list, just to make sure that we don't break any other things in the provider would suffice. This is how we approach to any Terraform provider bumps, by the way. If possible, we uptest all of the resources that has any meaningful changes, and we include usual suspects like clusters, EKS clusters, or whatever there is in the GKE, right? Whatever people use a lot. So yes, uptests would be run for these ones. By the way, I noticed that you included a list like this. Did it work?
It seemed to work, but failed.
It failed,
and I
okay.
didn't look why. The second one also failed, but then I started to look at the code or the actual test, and it had this manual intervention label. So I don't know, maybe it was bad to try to run that test. And then I ran the third test, and that succeeded. I checked
Okay,
that, but that was only a single
cool.
one.
Yep, okay. So, by the way, this is the first time I've seen a list supplied in a comma-separated manner. If this works, we have not ever used it, as maintainers. There is probably some reason that I don't know. But if I had to guess, I would say that this makes it difficult to point where the problem is, because the logs are going to be huge. So when you run all these tests in a single log, it might be difficult to find which of the resources failed. Therefore, we always write test examples with a single example. And like you said, if there is any manual intervention annotation, I believe, in these tests, it means that they are not suitable for up tests, and we expect them to fail. In those cases, we test them manually.
So, and I tried with this comma here, because if you run the up tests manually locally, you can do that at least.
Okay. Then this should work. Yep.
Sorry, can I ask a newbie question here?
Sure.
I'm new here, so I don't know exactly what happens behind the scene. With this uptest, do you actually go and provision the resource, or you just make sure that it's created?
Yeah, we go ahead and provision the resource. Not only we run create, but we also test delete and import. I believe it is possible to test updates as well, but they require some annotations in the example manifest. So not all resources may test update operations, but create, delete, and import are all tested. And there is a caveat in import as well. So some resources are not uptestable import-wise, but most of the resources are.
Okay, no, the reason I'm asking, if the purpose of this test is just to make sure there is no breaking change in the Terraform, to me, as long as you can create the resource and the API accepts it, you are good. You don't have to provision it, right? That's how I test my changes. I don't have like AWS environment I can test. I just run it on my kind cluster. And if I provide all the properties properly, it passes. If I have a property that's not matched to the Terraform, it's going to fail right away, even without talking to AWS.
Well, that doesn't give a full coverage of a resource, because Terraform doesn't have all the validations set up. So a request Terraform might decide a configuration is invalid, your manifest is invalid in certain cases, but certain cases are only handled at the cloud provider side, what we call external API. So even though Terraform validates it and sends the request to the external API may complain that some fields are missing, and not formatted correctly, etc. So we go ahead and do the create the external resources so that even those cases are covered.
Right, I agree with that. I'm saying, can this be two separate test cases, one to make sure there is no breaking change in Terraform and one to make sure there is no breaking change in the cloud provider? Because that gives you a faster feedback, right? You don't have to wait for everything to be provisioned to see if there is a breaking change or not.
Right. By the way, Terraform validation is done automatically. Because under the hood, we rely on Terraform to do the actual talking to the external APIs. If a validation on the Terraform side fails, we won't even send the external API requests. So we will have up tests fail even before provisioning the resource in those cases.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but let's say it passes, the validation passes, it has to wait for the provider to pass too. So that takes some time. But if you skip that part, you continue to the next test without waiting for everything to be ready.
I see. But we don't have such granularity in up tests. I mean, if the Terraform validation passes and we go forward with provisioning the real resource. Yeah, but like you said, we could have mock validation, let's say, or a partial like validation. Yeah.
Just to get a faster response, right?
Sure, why not? It would cover the most important, I mean, the most obvious validation cases, right? That makes sense.
Okay, thank you.
All right. What were we talking about, Ricard? Have we covered everything?
Yeah, there's one maybe specific thing for this bump that you already mentioned in the PR, the deletion protection flag that's added in lots of places. I guess this is kind of specific for GCP, but yeah, that's something I think would be nice to take a decision on. Maybe not here, but
I would like to hear your opinion. So as a maintainer, I'm not a Crossplane user. So I would really value users' perspective on this. So what I explain here is Terraform introduces this deletion protection, which is not an external field. This is a Terraform field, and when set to true, it acts as a guard against accidental deletions. But accidental deletions doesn't really make sense in Crossplane because, I mean, of course, one can accidentally delete a resource by executing kubectl delete, but on the Terraform side, accidental deletion usually happens when an immutable field is modified and Terraform decides to replace the resource. I believe that's why they introduced this deletion protection mechanism. We already put a lifecycle meta argument to our Terraform configurations to prevent such deletions, because it goes against Crossplane resource model. So I'm not sure whether we should set a default value to false, because the intention behind this is not really valid on the Crossplane side. But again, I also put some arguments against doing so, because doing so goes against what Terraform does by default. It might cause confusion from the users. Yeah, it complicates things. What's your opinion on this, Ricard?
I haven't thought very much about it, but for me, it's kind of, as you say, it's doesn't add so much. And also, there is this management policy on Crossplane I think it's called, where you can say if you're allowed to delete resources or just update them and so on. So it kind of overlaps with that. So my like
Not
first
correctly.
thought is, yeah.
I'll
Go
argue
ahead.
with that. It's not only the delete. As Sam mentioned, if you update like RDS, right, it needs to recreate. So you are doing update, by Terraform behind the scene is doing delete and create. So it's not your...
Yeah, Reza, we already don't do that in crossplane providers. We prevent Terraform from doing so. That's one of the things that we do across all kinds of resources. You cannot delete a field by change. You cannot delete an external resource by changing an immutable field, as opposed to Terraform's default behavior.
But that's controlled by this flag, isn't it?
Yes, this is, but we already don't allow deletion. So this is like some redundant new field for us, cross-plane users.
Right. I'm saying like it's not only the, like if we change this, it's going to change the whole lot of other things, right? It's going to have a huge impact.
No, not really. It won't. I mean, this defaults to true for some of the resources in the Terraform. If we make it default to false, not much will change for cross-plane users.
No, but if you change an immutable field, it's not going to delete and create?
No, it won't, because in crossplane, we never do so. In crossplane, resources are only deleted by executing a kubectl delete, for instance.
No. Same example. You have an RDS, right?
Yep.
And you change the subnets.
Okay.
So it has to go delete and recreate.
Yep.
That's done by Terraform, not by Crossplane.
Yeah, that's done by Terraform, but by putting lifecycle prevent destroy argument, we don't let Terraform do so.
Oh, so that's a different flag than this one?
Yep, that's a different one.
Okay. Okay,
yeah, that's a provider level flag.
I see. Okay. Because that's scary. If you let that happen, you don't know what happens behind the scenes.
Yes, I agree. That's why, by the way, cross-plane resource model is designed that way. We didn't want any update looking, we didn't want any changes that look like update, delete external resources. So you can only delete by explicitly deleting the resource.
I see. Okay.
So
yeah, Ricard, back to you.
Yeah, since this is kind of overlapping, I think probably the best thing is to set it to false and hide it, or like not include it in the API, exclude it.
Yeah. That's my gut feeling as well. Yeah, we can invite some more discussion from the community, and we can even bring this up to cross-plane people and hear their opinions. Yeah, but we seem to largely agree for now. All right, Ricard, anything else?
No. Thank you.
So regarding timeline, back when this major version change was announced, it was around November, I believe, right? We didn't have any immediate plan to upgrade, but now that we are in Q1, well, please don't quote me on this. Now that we are in Q1, we will probably consider doing this in Q1. But again, I'm not the decision maker. But back when this happened in November, we knew that we were not going to address it in Q4 of the previous year. Hopefully, we will begin working on this one together with you.
Sounds great.
Great. So, Reza, I guess it's your turn now.
Yeah, thank you.
Would you like to? Yeah. Would you like to talk about your case?
Yeah, so just to give you a background, I'm working with the client and we are building a big infrastructure for them. So we have to build different components and compositions and everything. And we want to make all the changes in the code. So you create something, you update it, you delete it. Everything is done through the claims. And one issue I ran into is when you create a resource, right? And you update it, it's fine. It takes all the changes, everything. But if you are using a V2 version of some resources, which you change from singleton to a resource, if you delete a field from there, it doesn't get deleted. It stays there. There is no way to delete it. And to me, it's a major issue because sometimes you set something, you want to remove it, and it's not working. So I tried to go through the code and see what's happening, but I'm not a Golang person, so I don't have too much experience there. I just wanted to bring it up to your attention and see if there is any way we can track it down and see what's happening.
Yeah. So to clarify, this happens in V1 Beta 2 versions where we have embedded objects instead of singleton lists, right?
That's correct, yes.
Okay.
So in this example, like instance market options, it was changed from a list to a object. So inside this, if you remove market type, it doesn't get deleted. If you remove spot options, it doesn't get deleted. So that's a problem for us.
Okay, yeah, that's an interesting case. So let me show you what this reminds me of.
And I'm surprised nobody else has run into this problem yet.
Me too, by the way. Yeah, I mean, if this is such an obvious case, but like you said, this doesn't happen in client-side apply, right? This only happens in server-side apply.
Yeah, but all the MRs are done server side. Is that the right assumptions or no? Crossplane does SSA for MRs. Well, actually, the Upjet does.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Yeah, that is a part of the code that I didn't investigate a lot, and it has been some time since I saw that part. So you might be right. At some point, I remember it was longer than a year ago. We discussed server-side applies. We might have switched all of our applies to it. That's right.
The
That
reason I'm
might be
saying
right.
when I do kubectl get show manage fields, I do see that different fields are managed by different controllers. That's what I'm saying. It's
Oh,
SSA.
I see. All right.
The other
So
thing I add here, sorry to cut you off again.
you go ahead, please.
No, under management policies, I made sure I removed the initial, what's it called? Late initialize.
Late initialize,
because sometimes it gets copied back from the status to the other one. So I made sure that's removed from there.
Okay. Yeah, some fields we have to copy for reasons, and if you're not happy with fields being copied, you can just safely remove late initialize here.
Yeah.
So let me tell you what this reminds me of, and you can maybe that will give you some opinion. Let's look at our CRDs. So what I'm showing is provide AWS here. And let's look at launch template types, V1 Beta 1. We can also open V1 Beta 2. So let's find here market options. Parameters where this is used is here, spot options. So we have here these omit empties. Whenever a field is set as omit empty, we ignore that field. this has caused some issues in the past, but never in the case that you brought here, never like the one in your issue. Now that I see these are omit empty, and most of these are, by the way, it's just an exception if you don't see an omit empty or a bug, by the way. Omit empty is only missing in the what I call root types, whatever. Let's don't get into that discussion. But yeah, we have omit empty here. And did I miss that? Okay. We have omit empty here. And for some reason, when you server-side apply, I suspect that because we are deleting it, and deletion is the same as this field being empty, we might be omitting that update for good.
No. My issue is opposite of that. So let's say you have market options. So
Okay.
it's not empty, right?
Yeah.
But my
And
new update removes the omit option, market option, or options or whatever, right?
oh, okay. You just omit this market type, for instance. Is that right?
Yeah, altogether, yeah. Update is fine. It takes the updates, but if I want to remove that field altogether,
remove this
say,
one altogether, right? Instance market
no,
options.
a field underneath
Just this one.
that. Just this one.
Okay. Let's go to that one, and that is going to be market.
But again, SSA should not care about omit empty, right? Omit empty only applies for client side applies, no?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not well experienced in these kinds of topics, in wider Kubernetes topics, as I call them.
Me neither.
All right. Yeah, I'm not sure. There are certain we should ask someone who knows better.
Mm-hmm. And it could be a Kubernetes bug. I'm not 100% sure it's an object thing, but
yeah, it might even be the case. Ricard, do you have any input?
Yeah, not really, but I saw something when I did the Redis for a GCP PR a while back, my first PR, so I learned a lot. But and I checked quickly now, it's the same for this. The example generated has a list marker here for this value, but the example that isn't generated, the handcrafted, doesn't have that. And when I created the Redis cluster support, the generated also had options like that, but you couldn't apply them, so you had to convert them into objects, and then they worked.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
So there might be an issue here.
Yeah, but that's a difference in API versions. In previous versions, mostly V1 Beta 1, we had these lists, what we call singleton lists. Terraform sometimes defines a list which should have a maximum of one item. So we introduced these embedded objects versions in V1 Beta 2 versions. We converted such singleton lists into embedded objects, just as a syntactic sugar, so that you don't have to type list here. So it is natural that you see such differences in resources, but of course you should see such differences in newer versions. But some resources don't have any older version. So they were introduced when these embedded object fields were introduced. So after embedded objects were in use. So they don't even have two different API versions. They have a single one, and the one we have, it supports only embedded version. So that's expected, if I got you right.
But the generated template or manifest
I see.
Use that. So if you check on the launch template in the AWS provider,
Let's see.
You will see a difference in between the example that's generated and the handcrafted.
Okay, let's see V1 beta. Let me check this one first. Market. Yeah, instance market options. Okay, this is a list here. Let's go also V1 beta 2. I believe it is. Yeah, looks like we have a case not covered by the examples generated. So even though this is V1 beta 2, that's right. This is not an embedded object. You're right.
Yeah. And if you check then on the example,
yeah, the
for the
handcrafted
same.
one is going to be, let me see. So this is the handcrafted one. All right, this has been corrected here. And this is one for V1 beta 1. So this is right. Right, this is what we expect to see. In V1 beta 1, this is a list, but in V1 beta 2, this is corrected to be embedded object.
If you want, I can show you in action too, so you can see exactly what's happening.
Yeah, sure, Reza. Why not? I'll let you share your screen.
Let me see if I can share my screen here. Hello, share window. Okay, share this window. Which windows? No.
Yeah, I'm seeing myself right now.
Yeah. Share screen. This one. Okay. You see my VS Code, right?
I hope it is going to appear. This is all black for now. Yes, now I can see.
You can see it, right?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so I have the same claim here, the one that you see in there. So this is using V2. So if I apply this launch template server side, okay, get launch templates, okay. It's created, right? All good. Now I'm gonna go and comment this out. If I do kdiff -f launch template server side, says no change. Nothing has changed. And if I apply, it's not gonna do anything. But now let's delete this. Delete -f launch template. Now I'm gonna change this to V1 beta 1, right? So this becomes a list. I think this is list 2. Let's do that
probably.
just to be safe.
Okay.
All right. Now I'm gonna do the same thing. And then get. Not ready. I'm not concerned about that. But now if I comment this out, can I do like this? Let's see.
No, I don't think it will work.
No? Okay, I'm gonna move this like this.
Yeah.
And then if I do a diff now, see, it detected my change.
So are you able to apply this? What happens if when you apply?
Yeah, it works.
It will delete. Okay.
Yeah. Well, if diff works that way, yeah, I can apply it again just to be safe. Here. And if I do get.
Yeah, it said applied.
Well, the other one says apply too, but I don't see the changes.
Ah, okay, that's right.
So this one, see, it's gone, right? But if I do the same thing, okay, let's do the other one. Let's delete Now let's go back to version 2. So we put,
Okay. I guess I'm getting what's going on here.
so if I go back to version 2 here, okay, so this is version 2, no list with the market option. I'm gonna apply this, right? Done. Just to prove that it got applied. You see status, no market option here, right? Now, if I go and comment this, and then apply, it says applied, but when I see it, it's still there.
Okay. Now I have an idea what might be going on here. So this instance market options has a single item inside, and when we just remove the market type, that item doesn't have market type inside, but only spot options. Is that right?
Correct.
So there is still one item there, but it is missing the market type.
Right.
Yeah, okay. But even in that case,
it should remove it, right? It
should
show,
even in that case it should remove it. You are right.
They show manage fields here.
Yes.
I have so this tells me it's server side applied regardless of what I do. And market option, see here, I only have a spot option. Market option is gone. There is no owner of that field. So why SSA doesn't remove it?
Yeah.
The only thing I got suspicious is I saw V1 somewhere. So this is V2. No, sorry, not this one. This one. For some reason, this shows as V1. And this one shows as V2. So again, I don't have deep experience on this SSA thing, but it could be related to the ownership. It says, this doesn't belong to you. I'm not going to delete it.
Yeah, it might be. Again, I'm not experienced in these either, but I'm glad that we demonstrated it here so that others can take a look at the recording and see it in action. I believe it's going to be helpful in their
investigations.
Yeah, in their investigations. All right, sounds good. Yeah, but this really looks strange to me as well. Yeah, it looks like a bug. There either is something that we don't know and this works as expected. So there's a gap in our knowledge and experience. It might be the case, but likely there is a bug for real.
Right. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I'll try to add some more details to the ticket as well. So when people look at it, they have a better idea of what's going on. But yeah,
sounds good.
With you as well.
Sounds good. When the recording becomes available on YouTube, I'm going to post a link to the timestamp of your demo so that others can take a look.
Sure, I appreciate that.
All right, people. Anything else that you would like to talk about today? Then thanks for joining. I hope to see you next time. Take care.
Thank you.
Night.
Bye.